We're introduced to Lynn, a brilliant high school student who secures a scholarship to an elite private school. Her father, Meng, is visibly proud of her achievement, emphasizing the significance of this opportunity for their family's future. Upon starting at the new school, Lynn quickly befriends Grace, an aspiring actress struggling academically. Grace's warm and outgoing nature contrasts with Lynn's more reserved demeanor, and their friendship blossoms as they navigate the challenges of their rigorous academic environment. As their bond deepens, Grace confides in Lynn about her academic difficulties and the pressure she faces to maintain her grades. Empathizing with her friend's plight, Lynn agrees to tutor Grace. However, during a critical exam, Grace panics and signals to Lynn for help. In a moment of spontaneity, Lynn discreetly provides Grace with answers, marking the inception of a covert cheating operation. After the exam results are released, Grace is overjoyed to see that she has passed with flying colors. She's beaming with gratitude, and convinces Lynn that they need to celebrate. Though hesitant, Lynn agrees. That day, they arrive at Grace's boyfriend Pat's mansion, a grand, modern house with luxury cars parked in the driveway and a breathtaking pool in the backyard. Lynn feels slightly out of place among the wealthy students but tries to enjoy herself. As the evening progresses, the group moves to the pool, dipping into the cool water under dim backyard lights. Pat turns to Lynn and tells her that he heard about her helping Grace. He tells her that he could use some of that genius too and that his friends are willing to pay her well. Lynn's face tightens as she realizes why she was truly invited. She was never there as a friend, just as a tool for their gain. She turns to Grace, hurt visible in her expression. Grace, sensing Lynn's hesitance, quickly reassures her that they really are friends. She tells Lynn that this is easy money and that she deserves to get something back for her brains. Lynn remains silent, her mind racing. She remembers her father's financial struggles, the hidden fees, the bills piling up. The need for money outweighs her hesitation. She finally exhales and nods, agreeing to help. The next day, Lynn devises a discreet cheating system using piano notes as hand signals. She strategically places herself in a position where everyone can see her movements. Since she has a photographic memory, she answers her own test first, then uses her fingers to tap out answers to the others. The first execution of the plan goes flawlessly. Students discreetly follow her cues, writing down the correct answers with no suspicion from the invigilators. After the test, Pat hands her a box filled with cash. Lynn hesitates before taking it, but the weight of the money reminds her of why she agreed. Soon, the operation grows. More students join in, willing to pay big for a guaranteed good grade. Later, Lynn is called to the principal's office immediately. Her heart drops. She feels her stomach churn, as the fear of being caught hangs over her like a storm cloud. When she arrives, she finds Bank already sitting there. Her eyes widen in fear as she wonders if he reported her. The principal speaks, but it is not about cheating. Instead, she announces that there is a prestigious scholarship opportunity for top students. The school has chosen both Lynn and Bank as their official representatives. Lynn releases a quiet sigh of relief. But as she looks at Bank, she senses something. Bank is an honest student who despises cheating. If he ever discovers what she is doing, everything could come crashing down. That evening, Lynn lights candles in front of an old photograph of her late mother. She quietly whispers a prayer, asking for guidance. Though she is making money, she feels the weight of her decisions. Meanwhile, Bank walks home from school, stopping by his family's small store. As he arrives, he notices 3 older guys smoking outside the entrance. Politely, he asks them to leave, saying that smoking in front of the store is bad for business. The guys glare at him before slowly stepping away. One of them smirks and tells Bank that he has guts before warning that they will see him again. Bank brushes off the encounter and heads inside, but something about their tone unsettles him. The next day, Bank walks into school, ready to write another exam. Suddenly, a student named Chapin whispers to him, asking for help. He mentions that he is struggling with the piano note system. Bank frowns, confused. When he asks what he is talking about, Chapin quickly changes the subject and tells him to forget it. Later, the exam begins. As the students flip their papers, Lynn immediately senses something is wrong. The questions do not match her memory. She realizes the school board must have found out that students were copying each other, so they printed 2 different versions of the test. Grace and Pat look panicked. Their papers are different from Lynn's. There is no way she can help them. Thinking fast, Lynn deciphers both versions and uses rapid hand signals to send answers to multiple students at once. She is sweating, her fingers flying across the desk. The invigilator suddenly calls out that time is up and instructs students to stop writing. Lynn drops her pencil, breathing heavily. She is unsure if she got enough answers across. After school, a voice over the intercom instructs Lynn and Chapin to report to the principal's office immediately. Inside the office, Bank is already seated, looking confused. The principal lays down 2 test papers and says that the answers are almost identical. She demands an explanation. Lynn's mouth goes dry, as she is caught. Lynn's father is called to the school. As he sits across from the principal, she explains everything. She tells him that Lynn has been running a cheating scheme, helping other students for money. Lynn's father goes pale with shock. The principal says that they will not expel her, but they are revoking her scholarship. A sharp silence fills the room. Lynn feels like she has been punched in the chest. The scholarship was the only way she could afford to be at school. Her father's voice breaks as he asks how they are supposed to pay for this. The principal tells him that it is not the school's concern. Later, Lynn's father scolds her and tells her that he worked his entire life to give her this opportunity, and she threw it away to help her friends cheat. Then, in a broken voice, he adds that he is glad her mother is not here to see this because she would have been so disappointed. The words stab through Lynn's heart. Tears well up, but she holds them back. Months pass, and senior year begins. Lynn keeps a low profile, avoiding trouble while focusing on her studies. However, faces a harsh reality. Her family's financial struggles have prevented her from going to university. Instead, she now helps her father run their small laundry business. She no longer lives the carefree, privileged life she once had. One afternoon, Lynn's phone rings. She hesitates before answering, seeing Grace's name flash on the screen. When she finally picks up, Grace sounds excited and relieved. She tells Lynn that she has spoken to someone who can help pay her tuition fees. She invites her to dinner that evening with Pat's parents, saying it could be a life-changing opportunity. That evening, Lynn arrives at Pat's home, dressed modestly compared to the wealthy guests around her. She sits across from Pat's parents, who greet her warmly and thank her for tutoring their son in the past. They express their appreciation for her intelligence and mention that they have big plans for Pat to attend Columbia University. They get to the point, asking her to tutor Pat again for another important exam. If she agrees and ensures that Pat passes, they promise to support both her and Grace financially, covering whatever they need for university. Lynn listens carefully, her mind racing. The offer is tempting, but she knows what it truly means. They are not just asking for tutoring. They are asking her to cheat for Pat again. She smiles politely and tells them that she will think about it. The next day, Lynn makes her decision. She meets Pat and Grace privately and names the amount she is willing to take for the job, including extra money to help her father financially. However, she admits that this time, she will need additional help. Someone as smart as her. Later that afternoon, she finds Bank and approaches him with her new scheme. She tells him that this job is bigger than anything they have done before and that she is willing to pay him well for his assistance. Bank listens but is immediately hesitant. He worries about the risks and the possibility of getting caught. Lynn understands his fear and does not push further. Instead, she hands him a slip of paper with her phone number and tells him to call if he changes his mind. A few days pass, and just when Lynn starts to doubt that Bank will join, he finally arrives and agrees to be part of the plan. The group rents out an abandoned warehouse where they can meet in secret and strategize. They brainstorm how to retrieve answers for Pat without raising suspicion. Lynn and Bank, using their photographic memories, practice memorizing complex exam papers in seconds. They simulate different scenarios, preparing for any possible setbacks. After weeks of planning, they finalize every detail. The heist is ready. Lynn and Bank board a plane to Philadelphia, arriving in the evening. The city is unfamiliar, but they focus on their mission. The next morning, they make their way to the exam center, blending in with hundreds of other students. Security is strict. Invigilators thoroughly check IDs to prevent duplicate test takers. Lynn and Bank stay calm, moving through the process without drawing attention. Once inside the exam hall, they receive their test papers and begin writing. Their hands move quickly, answering complex math problems and recalling entire sections of the test. Every detail is mentally recorded for transmission later. Once they finish, they signal to be excused for a bathroom break. Inside the stalls, they retrieve hidden phones and begin sending questions and answers back to Pat and Grace in real time. Suddenly, chaos erupts. An invigilator enters the restroom and spots Bank acting suspiciously. He is caught with his phone before he can hide it. Lynn, hearing the commotion, immediately slips out unnoticed, rushing back to the exam hall. She sits back down, acting as if nothing happened, waiting for the test to officially end. Later, when the session is over, Lynn sneaks out of the building and sends the last batch of answers before disappearing into the crowd. Later, Lynn and Bank fly back home. Lynn feels relieved, thinking they pulled it off despite Bank's capture. A few minutes later, She receives an email from her dream university. She has been accepted. For the first time in months, she allows herself to feel happy. That evening, while watching the news with her father, a report comes on about an exam leak in Philadelphia. Authorities have discovered that students cheated, and now, everyone who took the test is required to retake it. Worse, they must pay an additional fee to do so. That night, guilt overwhelms Lynn. She finally confesses everything to her father. Expecting anger, she is instead met with understanding. He gently tells her that everyone makes mistakes but that she must now take responsibility for her actions. The next day, Lynn arranges a meeting with Pat's father. She does not waste time. She tells him that he must intervene for the students who are now forced to retake the exam. She demands that he cover their fees, as they are innocent victims of a situation they had no part in creating. Pat's father listens carefully, considering the consequences. Lynn warns that if he refuses, she will expose everything: the operation, the bribes, the corruption. After a long silence, Pat's father agrees. Lynn stands up, satisfied. Without another word, she walks out. As this is the first time she feels like she is in control.